Folks, if you have any issues with sound, please just let me know, but we'll go through this pretty quickly. I look forward to the opportunity here, something that I believe is critical for the success of IT, and I always look at sharing something of passion of mine. So, the title is Innovate or Go Extinct. The theme is basically for IT leaderships to transform their IT organization into more of an innovation engine, and we're going to kind of talk through some strategies about that. Overall, plan to share some trends and thoughts of the future of IT, 5 critical strategies for innovation, our personal journey from an IT perspective with transforming into more of an innovation performance engine for the company, and then some final thoughts. If for some reason you don't believe innovation is critical, here's some key quotes from some pretty successful innovators out there. Steve from Apple, innovation distinguishes between leaders and followers. Mark from Salesforce.com, this is one of my favorite quotes. The idea of companies are like sharks. If they stop moving, they die. From Microsoft, the idea here is to let people do something they couldn't do the day before, and to constantly look at that as a way for posing questions for innovation. In 2010, Harvard Business Review did a survey and surveyed 15,000 CEOs, and the #1 strategic objective of that group was innovation. The key here was that many felt if they didn't innovate, they would no longer exist in 6 years. 6 years is a very, very short time frame, so that's an alarming quote in study research, at least from my perspective. Also, along IT, there's lots of discussions out there and different thoughts of opinions. This is a fairly drastic one where they're looking at IT organizations shrinking up to 75%, which as an IT professional, that's kind of alarming. Not that I totally agree with that quote, but obviously this is a well-written book and research and things like that, so there are some that actually believe that's the case. There's some companies that stopped innovating. They no longer exist. Some pretty big names here. Being in the Allentown area, Bethlehem Steel is a big name on this list to us. I look at the history of that. One of the top 3 producers of steel, one of the top companies in the world, and be in a situation that they're no longer there is pretty remarkable. So, and this list continues to grow daily, weekly. More and more companies are falling from the wayside. Key question there is, does your business consider you an innovator? If you were to talk to your business counterparts as an IT professional, would they say you're an innovator or a non-innovator? And that's a key question you need to think about yourself as well as your IT organization. Here's a recent survey from InfoWeek, and the last 2 numbers are kind of alarming, where you look at 60% of the IT professionals considered themselves innovators, but when they asked their business counterparts, only 43% of the business side considered their IT departments innovators. So huge disconnect between the 2 organizations, where IT considers themselves innovators, but the business really doesn't consider that. I mean, the good news is still 43% considered innovators, but to me, the difference in the gap between the 2 is alarming. So now what? You look at the gap, you look at the perspective that IT shops are shrinking. What, as IT leaders, can we do? And I personally think there's a lot we can do. Overall, IT is really the driver, potential driver for innovation. We're one of the few organizations that have visibility into the entire business, which allows for us to learn but also become thought leaders in a lot of these different areas, which could drive ideas for innovation. So I think we're in a much better position than what most folks would consider. And I think with some strategies, with some change in behaviors and things like that, I think we could really become basically the driver for innovations for most, if not all, companies. The next chart highlights what we used to consider the end zone for IT. The goal was to get visibility, control, and optimization inside your IT organization. We all thought that once we got to optimization, this was the kind of the end point, and we were basically on cruise control at that point. But I think a lot has changed. I think the model has changed, and it has really it's been extended. So optimization is basically the starting point. Optimization, and then start to look at transformation, and then ultimately innovation. So the model's basically doubled. For those that are still early in this journey and are still looking at visibility and optimization, they've extended the ball field a few more yards for success here. But I think the key is really to get to innovation. So what are some strategies on how to get there? One is to establish a culture that entices innovation. Now that sounds like an easy thing, but depending on your IT organization, the maturity of that organization, the legacy of thoughts and willingness to change inside your IT organization can really either help with that or hinder that activity. Second is to build a talent base of driven learners, making sure that from entry level to senior level, it is enforced and it's committed to the fact that continuous learning is key as a fundamental inside that organization. Embrace experimentation. Be willing to accept some failures. Later on this morning, I'm going to share with you some of the success stories we've had. But let me be very honest, we've had some things that haven't gone well. But the key is to be aware of that, to understand that, and be prepared for that. With that is funding stuff at really small increments. We do a lot 1 week at a time, especially in areas of innovation, just to vet ideas, maybe extend into a proof of concept, maybe multiple proof of concepts, but the idea is to keep things at small chunks so that if they are failures or they're not really what we intended to do, we can kind of cut them off without a significant investment. And then finally is to really highlight the early wins.